The following program was produced by a community producer.
So now we're going to go on to our next segment, which is fire safety for older adults. And Chief William Sullivan of the Malden Fire Department is going to share a very important message for all of us.
Thank you for your patience.
Not at all.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Julio and I'm with Chief Sullivan of Malden Fire Department. Sir, how are you today?
I'm very well, Coach. Thanks for the invitation to join you.
Thank you. And I definitely want to start to say thank you to you and the Malden Fire Department and all the first responders for all you do for our community 24/7.
Well, you're quite welcome. We're honored and privileged to be able to serve the people that we do and provide the services that we do 24/7.
Thank you. And so Chief Sullivan is going to share about fire safety for older adults. And I want to say thank you for taking the time to do this, and please share.
So again, when we're talking about fire safety in the home, for any age level, in fact, first and foremost, we've got to start with the proper installation of smoke alarms. And that begins with ensuring smoke alarms on every level of your home and outside of each sleeping area. All right, vitally important. And remember, particularly, obviously, battery-operated smoke alarms, those batteries should be replaced at least twice a year. And a good way to remember when to replace your batteries is simply when you change the clocks. When you set the time ahead and you set the time back. Consider testing your alarms once a month. If you take a look at the face of a smoke detector, you'll see one single button. It's a test button. Right? If you can't reach it, even a broom handle. Just a quick push to make sure that the alarm is working. And the smoke detector itself should be replaced every 10 years. You note on the box when you purchase it, it has a lifetime of about 10 years. At this point, again, I'll also mention carbon monoxide detectors. Mm-hmm. We talk about the placement of smoke alarms at the top and bottom of every stairwell and outside of sleeping areas. As far as the carbon monoxide detectors, one detector on each level of your home should be sufficient. All right. Keep 3 essential items by your bedside at night. Consider this when you go to sleep at night, and we'll get into this a little bit more later. But your eyeglasses. If you wear eyeglasses, make sure that you can reach them easily should the alarm go off during the night. If you have a cellular phone, keep that phone handy as well. All right, as well as a cane you may need, or a walker, or any device that will help you move about. And also, you may consider a whistle, all right, leaving it with your cell phone, something that, if by chance you're unable to evacuate for some reason, just to allow somebody, an opportunity to hear that you may be in trouble and may need more assistance than you might have thought at the beginning. As we talk about any, home, despite age, but particularly people over 65, seeing as cooking is actually the leading cause of fire injuries for people over 65. I'd just like to provide some safety tips relative to that.
Yes, please.
When you're cooking, consider wearing short or tight-fitting sleeves. All right, as you're moving about the stove and you're moving pots and pans, you don't want to have a long flowing garment like a house coat or a bathrobe maybe that has a long sleeve. So consider, a short sleeve or tightly fitting clothes. One of the biggest issues is to never leave cooking unattended. If you're cooking something, stay within close proximity of the stove at all times. All right. Last thing that we want to have, see happen is the phone ring. And now your attention is taken away from the stovetop. So when you're cooking, stay in close proximity. Keep a lid near the stove that will fit over the pot that you're using at the stovetop. All right. Should a fire begin in the pot or pan that you're using, simply covering it with the lid and shutting the burner off may solve the problem. All right. Electrical fires, I think, is another thing for the senior population to consider. All right, and this is important. Don't overload outlets in the home. Don't overload power strips. Right, we see more and more, particularly with computers and printers and monitors. We see more use of power strips. We don't want to overload those. From time to time, take note of the wiring, on any appliance, and ensure that it hasn't become frayed or old or brittle, where you see wire exposed. When we talk about larger appliances, microwaves, air conditioners, the refrigerator, consider plugging just one of those into an outlet. All right, if you plug in an air conditioner in, ideally, you probably don't want to be sharing that 2-position outlet with something else. Do the best you can. Do not run electrical cords under a rug or a mat. All right, as you walk across the rug or the mat, we create some abrasiveness, some friction. Again, it can wear that protective coating around the copper wires to the point where now it may not be visible to you because it's under a rug, but in fact, now we may have bare copper wires that are coming in contact with something that, could ignite, obviously the rug. Extension cords, another thing to consider. Extension cords are for temporary use only, and they're not designed for long-term use. All right, so do the best you can to eliminate the use of extension cords. I'll mention a little bit about smoking. Obviously, there's enough information out there that will tell everybody that smoking is bad for your health and none of us should be doing it. And as you're working your way towards quitting, if you must smoke, smoke outdoors. All right, and make sure that you have a coffee can filled with sand or even ideally water, so you can ensure that your cigarette or matches go out completely. Never extinguish a cigarette in a potted plant or mulch. All right, we do see a lot of fires, believe it or not, particularly in mulch outside. That's just not the place to extinguish a fire. If you're feeling drowsy or you're ready for bed, don't smoke. Don't even have cigarettes in your bedroom. All right, and particularly for the senior population, there should be no smoking at all in or near any unit, housing unit, apartment, household, home where oxygen is in use. All right, obviously we have to, there have to be signs that note that, but unfortunately, we still hear of tragedies where, oxygen accelerated the rate of burning. All right, we don't want to see that. For emergencies, ideally, have a plan. Have a plan for an emergency. When we talk about fire safety, we want to have a plan that you'll be out of your apartment or your house within 3 minutes. Okay, ideally. So as I said earlier, when you go to bed at night, you'd like to consider keeping your eyeglass, a cane, a walker, any hearing instruments you may need next to the bed or wherever you sleep at night. Make sure that the pathways that you'll use from your bedroom to the exit door are clear. All right, ideally that you won't be, likely to trip or fall or be stalled in any way. To that point, install night lights throughout the house. All right, at night, so that you can see your way making your way out of the home. Make sure on the outside of your home, particularly if you live in a single or 2-family home, make sure on the outside of your home that your house number is visible to us.
Yes.
You'd be surprised at the number of times we come down the street looking for a certain address and the number just isn't readily apparent to us. Ideally, someplace right around the front door and well lit at night. All right, just is going to shorten our response time and enable us to get to you quicker. And again, for the seniors that are watching this program, consider obtaining a file for life. A file for life is a container that will hold documents. You may be able. It's probably comes with a magnet where you could keep it right in your refrigerator. And you'd want to put important records in there, particularly relative to medications that you might be on, or anything else that you'd like the fire department, the police department, or emergency medical services, to know about you, what we should know about you in particular when and if we respond to your property. So again, those are just some basic home fire safety topics and supportive points that I'm pleased to have the opportunity to make. And if Anybody has any questions for the fire department, please don't hesitate to call. The Malden Fire Department Fire Prevention number is 781-397-7383. All right, they're open Monday to Friday, 7 to 5. In addition to that, obviously, if there were an emergency in your home, 911 is the number to dial. Don't hesitate. If you see or smell smoke in your home, don't go looking for the source. Evacuate your home and call 911. Within 2.5 to 3 minutes, ideally, the fire department be on scene and will identify what the problem is, if there is a problem. All right, but if you're moving around your home trying to identify the source, if unfortunately there is a fire, it's escalating. All right, so when the smoke alarm sounds or you see or smell smoke, get everybody out of the house, dial 911 from outside. We'll be there shortly and we'll determine what the problem is and get it corrected for you. All right, and so again, I hope that I've covered the key points. I hope the information that I provided is helpful to everybody, and I appreciate this opportunity, Coach.
Wow, well, Chief, that was very thorough and very helpful for just not those tips and for fire safety and prevention, not just for seniors, for everybody. And I just learned some new things today too. And you also mentioned the Vial for Life, and I'm also going to post a link to where you can download that document too, and it's going to be in the description for our viewers. And you can also reach out to community centers or even Google lifesaver or medical emergency sheet for home, and you can get free templates, and you can start to use that today. And just like what the chief said, putting it on the refrigerator or in a container is unbelievably helpful. And if you miss anything that the chief said, just hit rewind, because there's a lot of life-saving information that we may overlook. Well, I really appreciate your time, and again, I'm very thankful for what you and all the first responders are doing, and for taking the time to share safety, prevention, and tips for all of us.
Yeah, no, once again, Coach, I appreciate this opportunity. I look forward to the next one.
All right, my friend. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Stop.
Well, I want to say once again, muchas gracias. Thank you to the chief for sharing some truly life-saving tips that we all can use. Now, I want to expand on something that he brought up, which was another advice, which was the file of life or medical information sheets that you should consider having. Now, that information, as I have one here in my hand, you can find in your local community center. You can ask your primary care physician for one. You can Google it, and you can just type in medical emergency information sheet, and you can find some free templates. So I encourage you to do that. Now, one thing that I wanted to do was to just give a few additional rules of thumb when you have one of these information sheets at home. And this information that I'm reading to you is from care.com, and I thought this was very helpful. You should also have a copy should also be given to another family member, caregiver, or friend. I thought that was really good advice. And another part that I wanted to share with you, and I thought it was very helpful, you want to make sure that everyone in your household agreed not to move it from whichever spot you put that sheet on. So if you have it on your refrigerator, if you have it in a vial, your whole household agrees not to move it, so we know for a fact it's in one location. So hopefully you would never have to use it. You don't have that type of emergency or a fire. And thank you again to Chief for taking the time to speak with me. Now we're going to move on to my next segment, which is rest is rust. And the rest is rust.